My name is Scott Bridgman, class of 1976. We're the Colts with all the kicks, South High's class of 76. A lot of good memories, a lot of good memories. You know, um, I'm going to reference some of my notes, but when I was young, my dad told me to get involved at South High School. He said, because school's going to go way too fast, and before you know it, it's going to be over. So I listened to my dad, and I got involved. And I played sports. I wasn't a great athlete, but I was on the football and basketball and baseball teams and the golf team, and enjoyed that and had some great coaches. But I also got involved in club activities and other events, and I was fortunate enough to be in Key Club and Student Council and FBLA and the Letterman Club, those things. And they were great experiences. And I guess if I had a proudest moment, I was the student body president of South. And my senior year, we had over 2,000 students at South. So it was kind of an honor and a privilege to represent, 2,000 other students at the best high school in Pueblo, of course. So a lot of good memories there. Um, Another good memory was my senior prom. My senior prom, I went to the prom with the lady that I would one day marry. And she stuck with me for 42 years since we've been married. So it was a pretty good date, pretty good date. Um, a lot of other good things. I've been a South Colt since I was a little kid. I grew up down the street at 1919 Hollywood, and South's at 1801 Hollywood. So, when I was a youngster, my dad took me to all the South High School football games. Um, I even rode my bicycle up to the football practice field and watched John DiNardo coaching his team, which was quite an experience in itself. Pretty, pretty intimidating for a youngster, but I learned a lot. Um, when I came to South, I was in the first freshman class, which was kind of a good thing, bad thing scenario. Um, it was what it was, so you embraced it. We didn't get to be the big time freshman at Pitt's junior high school, because they changed them to middle schools, and so we were the first freshmen. And when I came here, Dave Wilkerson was our principal, who is still an icon in South lore, and quite a inspiring guy. And he always said something extra for South, which to this, it stuck in my mind and was very meaningful. The following year, I got to meet our new principal, which was Warren Carrera, and I got to really know him quite well. I'll tell you more about that as we go on. From a good point of view. I wasn't in trouble. Um, Other things at South that was particularly of pride to me was that I made so many great friendships, and I still see a lot of these people today. Friends that still live in Pueblo, friends that don't live in Pueblo. We just had our 45th class reunion, and we had close to 100 people there. So it was pretty exciting to see folks that we hadn't seen for a while. And it's been a lot of good things going down memory lane, thinking about the good times at South. Um, Other great memories at South High School. In 1975, South had one of the best basketball teams in the state, and it was quite a magical run. South fell short. They finished second at state, but they did beat the number one ranked team, Cherry Creek, and that was pretty exciting times. Um, I mentioned that I was the student body president, but the thing that I didn't mention is all the relationships that evolved from that. That's when I got to know Warren Carrere. Warren Carrere stood behind me and gave me all kinds of opportunities to uh, represent South in the city. And I got to meet the office staff. Henry Roman was there at that time. Um, Jim Smith was the activities director. Mrs. Fair, really nice lady in the activities office. Uh, the whole staff. My counselor was Rob Imes. Mr. Imes, I should say, showed me a lot of opportunities to pursue my education later on. Um, a lot of good memories. Carol Noctegal was my first algebra teacher in freshman grade, and she told us all that nobody would pass the class, of course, because her class was that difficult. Well, it wasn't, but she made sure we were studying hard and working hard. Uh, Mrs. White, my history teacher, made me enjoy history, which is hard to do. Uh, Mr. Ligon, Mr. Ligon was my biology teacher, a great educator, made you want to learn about science. Um, Bill Sable. Bill Sable was my geometry teacher. I know he was a South football coach, and most people relate to him that way, but he was a good geometry teacher. And nobody liked geometry, but I did like geometry, so go figure. Uh, Mr. Fate. Mr. Fate was our physics teacher, and he made learning physics not that hard because he told us what you needed to know, and you studied for that, and you did okay. Mrs. Pageant was my speech teacher, and I liked speech so well that I took 2 years of that. And she made us stand up before the class and give speeches and rewrite them and critique them and rewrite them and do them again. And I always appreciated her teachings. Um, from a student council point of view, uh, Agnes Underwood, Mrs. Underwood, was my first sponsor. And she introduced me to the workings of student council. And my senior year, Chuck DePietro was our sponsor, and he really gave me a lot of freedom to grow and to become a leader, and do what I did for the school. Couldn't have done that without his support. Um, Al Valiant was our Key Club sponsor. He did a great job with Key Club. Good man, and he was a heavy influence in bringing the cannon to the Southeast game. Which, notice I said Southeast game because South is the team. And we didn't have the cannon when I was in high school. We played for a trophy with a big light on it, which was really lame. And I think it was Kiwanis and Key Club worked together in unison with East Key Club, and they worked to get the cannon put in place. So that was kind of fun, and I kind of came away with the value of giving back to the community with Key Club. So that was a good experience. Lastly, maybe Mrs. Charlotte Slaughter. She was our FBLA sponsor, and um, she was also my accounting instructor as well. And she took us to state competitions in the state up at the Broadmoor, and was really great experience. Great experience. So I've got a lot of belief in our educators there. I probably left out somebody that I shouldn't have because there were so many great educators at South. Well, I had the pleasure of talking to the student body about our class ring, and something extra for South came up regularly in that little talk. And giving back to South is a good thing. I know the Alumni Foundation has done wonderful things for South High School and their students. Thousands of dollars have been raised on their behalf, and I hope that continues. Um, that's something extra for South that we can do today. Um, but students can do that too, by getting involved and being involved in the experience of high school and making it a good experience. Good experience. Uh, it was pretty cool. Of course, basketball games were at District 60, which was the central gymnasium, which is, I believe, it's Jim Ransom Gymnasium now, but it was packed. It was packed. And when you went to a football game, there was a lot of people at these games. It's kind of a shell of itself. Every now and then, my wife still and I still go to games, and it's kind of disheartening to not see as many folks, but there's not as many students either. A lot more opportunities in sports these days, but the games were electric, no doubt. I don't know the exact number, but it was around 535. Yeah, yeah. Today, what are they? 190, if they're that much? 200? Yeah. Well, we were part of the baby boomers, so there was a lot of us kids running around in Pueblo. Yeah, for sure. The military academy was something that Mr. Imes, my counselor, got me going in that direction. And I was selected to the West Point, and I went, but it just wasn't for me. The military end of it was great. It's just it wasn't a good fit for me. Series of circumstances happened during that period of time. My grandfather passed away. West Point was in my goals. My counselor, Mr. Imes, helped me through the process. I was selected to go to West Point, and I did go. And I only stayed there for a short period of time, went through basic training and went through my first quarter of school. A series of circumstances changed my mind that I really didn't think that was the path I wanted to go. My grandfather passed away. I came home, saw my family. I was homesick, decided I wanted to be back in Pueblo, Colorado, which is where I've stayed my entire life. So after that, I went to the University of Southern Colorado. I pursued a degree in business administration and received my degree in 1980. Um, After that, I took that education and went to CF&I Steel Corporation. And I had various managerial roles there for 13 years. And it was a good learning experience for me. I was a young supervisor, learning the ways of the world. After 13 years, I took a job in Colorado Springs at the Sealy Components factory. They made bed springs for Sealy mattresses, and we had a small factory in Colorado Springs, and I did that for a couple of years, and I left there as a plant manager. It was a good job, good learning experience, and then I moved to back to Pueblo. Well, I never moved away from Pueblo, but I was commuting. But I received a job back in Pueblo at the train company, which was my dream company. And I worked my last 23 years for the train company and many different roles as a leader out there. And it was a grand experience. Really, really good company to work for. And made a lot of friends, a lot of good business acquaintances across the country. I traveled across the country. The last 4 years of my career helping install other Oracle business transformation systems. And it was a great experience. Really enjoyed it. Somewhere along the line in there, I met this gal that I told you about and married her in 1979. Rhonda Gettle was her name, and we started dating in our senior year of high school. And fortunately for me, she didn't find another guy that she wanted to go out with, and she stayed with me, and we've been married 42 years now. I'm fortunate enough to have two sons. My oldest son, Brett, graduated from South High School in 2000, and my younger son, Chad, graduated in 2003 from South. And they both live here in Pueblo. So Rhonda and I are blessed to have our kids here, and I'm very proud of them, of what they do, and love them unconditionally with everything they do. So very, very fortunate. I retired in 2018. Been pretty busy since I retired. I actually write for a magazine now. That's just kind of a fun thing I'm doing. I still represent the El Camino Homeowners Association, and I played a little golf every now and then, little bit of golf every now and then. But life is good. Life is good. Well, I can't remember. I think it was the latter part of '82, early part of '83. They laid off supervisors. I mean, steel industry was in bad way, and it was tough times. My wife and I made a conscientious decision that we were going to stay in Pueblo. We didn't want to move to Denver or anywhere else. A lot of opportunities came my way to go other places. Uh, I actually applied for and received job offers at other steel mills, but didn't take them because we want to stay here. Her parents, Ron and Marilyn Gettle, were in town. My parents, Bob and Beverly Bridgman, were still here in town. All of our family was here. Our boys were in school here. We didn't want to leave, so we stayed. And yeah, it was tough, a few tough times, but they they weren't that tough. We got through them fine. And about that time, my wife decided to go back to work, and she thought 25 years for District 60. So that was a blessing in its own way. She had the ability to impact a lot of kids due to uncertainty of our steel mill business at the same time. So, and I got to spend more time with the kids for a while. But life got better. I did go back to college and get my master's degree while I was at CF&I. CF&I paid for that, so I took advantage of that. And that education gave me more opportunities at other companies moving forward. So it all worked out. Well, I was tired of commuting to Colorado Springs, and I took a chance. I was a plant manager in Colorado Springs, and I said, I don't want to work in Colorado Springs anymore. I want to come back to Pueblo. And there was a job opening out there, and actually it was an entry-level supervisor's job that I took. My education allowed me to get that opportunity, and I was fortunate to be selected. And I worked numerous roles at Train. Um, I ended up working in human resources, materials handling, shipping, operations management, and then ultimately was an operations manager out there. Just hard work. I was fortunate that I had the opportunity to go out there. I mean, great company to work for. Uh, they afforded me lots of opportunities that I reached out for and fortunately succeeded in. Well, the last 4 years after I'd been in numerous roles throughout the company, the business was going through what they call a business transformation, new systems management that was an Oracle system, and we actually had a system that managed the receipt of an order all the way through production, materials ordering, shipping, warranty management, all the way to billing and invoicing. And this system was rolled out across the country. So they sought some of us that had experience doing a little bit of everything. And I had the opportunity to work my last 4 years with the corporate office, which was a good thing, bad thing. The bad thing was I was on the road a lot. Last year I was gone 150 nights in the year, which was too many. And they were still wanting more. That's about the time I decided it was about time to retire. So I was fortunate to have a wife that was retired from School District 60 and a good retirement plan in place. We were able to pull that off. One of the things, and I share this with advice to youngsters, is to learn to listen. Um, Too many leaders and managers of the world are not good at that. I like to think I was good at that. Uh, my wife might not agree with that, but in the roles throughout South and on into my professional career, I didn't do it initially, but I learned later on in life, the more you could listen to the folks that you were around and be helpful rather than just telling folks what they needed to do, um, you get a lot further in life that way, a lot more productive. And I see it over and over again. You know, folks that are not listening to the folks that they represent, you know, it's something that I've taken away with me from all the years of experience that I had. Uh, I don't know. I've tried to give back. I've been involved with charitable organizations. I was pretty heavily involved with United Way when I worked at Train and bond fees, blood drives. I ran lots of blood drives, and I still have a goal and a passion to see blood donation centers in Pueblo, which I've been running against a lot of closed doors. Um, a lot of the blood donation takes place in Colorado Springs and Denver. And I've worked with hospitals trying to get them to open their doors to this process, and it's kind of a lengthy journey, but I haven't given up. We'll keep trying. So giving back to Pueblo any way I can is a good thing. Well, I'll be honest with you, during the COVID time, it slowed down tremendously. It came to a stop. But I had previously been working with Vice President of Parkview Hospital, trying to find a location where Parkview could be a partner in this. But we're talking big dollars. When you start talking big dollars and blood donation costs and all, and looking for a room to loan or lease to Vitalence, the organization that handles blood drives now, it's difficult, and getting their buy-in is a challenge. So I've ran against quite a few closed doors, but I hope to get some of those doors open down the road. I've kind of let the dust settle during the COVID time because at this point in time, you can't even get a blood drive in Pueblo without them telling you to go north. So it's tough. Yeah, for folks going into high school, they need to listen to what my dad told me. Get involved, enjoy school, join some clubs. You may not be an athlete. That's okay. Get on the chess club. Uh, Try to get in one of the organizations that South provides or communities allow. So getting involved is the biggest thing I can tell folks. I mean, my high school days were fun. That's what I would want all high school students to have, but they got to reach out because if they don't go get involved, it's not everybody going to come knocking on their door and asking them. So they need to get involved. Uh, I was heavily ingrained in student council. I mean, heavily. I was, participated in other activities. Uh, Played a lot of golf. Really loved the golf team. Um, but we had a lot of guys that could play better than me. But that was a big thing. School activities, homecoming. You know, student council ran those things. Those kind of things were keeping us busy all the time. And I did. I had a relationship with the office staff. I really did, because I'd be up there every morning doing the announcements with Warren Carrera in this little room about 3 foot by 5 foot, with the speaker in my hand. So, but a lot of good memories. I really didn't get to know him until my senior year. I mean, you didn't want to go get to know the principal for a lot of reasons, right? But quite honestly, he was just so supportive. That's the word that comes to mind. Always encouraging me and giving me a lot of room to navigate. I think back to that, and I don't know that I could have done that. I would have been wanting to watch over his shoulder all the time, but he had a lot of trust and faith in not just me, but others, and let folks do what they did. And, I, I saw a lot of respect from his staff towards him, so that spoke volumes as well. I'd like to say that he did. I mean, the something extra for South stands. But I was a freshman. I, I was we were trying to keep a low profile and stay out of trouble. That was, as an incoming freshman, you had a lot of concerns about how you were going to navigate the halls of South High School, but they all went really well. Well. Um, this is one of the questions we've been asking people. What's your favorite restaurant in Pueblo? My favorite restaurant in Pueblo. I have multiple favorite restaurants. La Tronica's restaurant's my favorite restaurant. It's old school. I went there when I was a kid with my parents. It's still going strong. You still get a salad and rolls with your dinner, which doesn't happen very often in places, but it just feels homey. And if I had to pick another restaurant, it'd be Jorge's. But I shouldn't tell you why I enjoy their place the best. I'd like to congratulate all of the inductees. I'm so humble and proud to be one of them. I'm not worthy that I should be one of them, but I'm very proud of the fact that I am. And I'm proud of my fellow Colts that are being inducted as well. I want to thank those folks that supported my induction, the nomination process. I believe I know that Doug and Tracy Schaffner wrote a letter on my behalf. Maybe I'm not supposed to know that, but I think I know that, and I want to thank them. I know there was some folks that were put down as references for me, Paul Arriaga, Frank May, Jim Rippiger. I don't know if they were even spoken to, but they're good friends, and I think highly of them and appreciate anything they might have done. I want to thank the Alumni Foundation. I urge them to carry on the good work that they do for South High School. I know many of the members and think highly of them and appreciate what they're doing for South, and I want to thank them for voting to induct me in the Hall of Fame. I want to thank my family. My mother-in-law is the only parent that I have left. My parents are gone, and her dad's gone, but my mother-in-law is a wonderful lady. I want to thank my sons, Brett and Chad, and Brett's girlfriend, Tracy. She's got a special place in our heart as well, and especially my wife, who supported me in everything I've been doing for the last 42 years. Um, I'm living the dream, and I'll always be a Colt.